Candy Claus. Snap, snap.
Okay. I have heard you, I have listened to you, and I understand y'all don't want no scrubs. So I'm going to cut my hair.
You should just get that hair cut on your head, you hippie man.
You can't argue with that. Hi everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Candy Claus album, Ceres and Calypso in the Deep Time. Candy Claus is a pop outfit, been following them on and off since 2009 when I heard their debut full-length In the Dream of the Sea Life, a very lo-fi and psychedelic album, otherwise known as In the Dream of the Sea Life. This is the second full-length album now that they have dropped since the release of that debut, and it is really catching my ear. A lot more than the last full-length they put out in 2010, Hidden Lands. An album where essentially the group cleaned up their sound quite a bit. Really made the production a lot more spick and span than their lo-fi roots, and worked out a lot more precise melodies. This LP was a lot more engaging musically, but sort of threw away all of the surreal fuzziness. And it is now on this new full-length album where I really feel like Candy Claus has kind of reconciled the two sides of their musical persona here, and have created an LP that is instrumentally and melodically dense, with all of these sweet candied melodies that feel compressed and layered one on top of another in this Phil Spector-esque wall of sound style. There are moments production and arrangement-wise where it feels like Candy Claus is pulling from the Beach Boys and the Beatles as well. So there is sort of a vintage, retro, throwback element to some of the songwriting on this album. However, there is a very strong dream pop element as well on this LP, which genre-wise is nothing new. Dream pop has been around a while, but with the genre's resurgence as of late, it does keep this album feeling kind of modern. Especially with how dense this album is with sound. Instrumentally, this LP is as thick as a triple-decker club at a truck stop diner, with really distorted, rough bass guitars, over-modulated guitar chords, some really shimmering leads and keyboards, and some pretty whispery, sedate boy-girl vocals as well. And while all of these pieces of instrumentation, all of these sounds don't seem incredibly impressive on paper, it's really how Candy Claus arranges all this stuff that kind of wows me. Because even though the slow pace and the very breezy vocals on their tracks give a very dreamy, sleep-like feel to this album, it's the melodies and the arrangements that feel very awake, alert, nimble, agile at some points. It's almost as if Candy Claus is sort of like a mini psych pop pit orchestra on some of these tracks, especially on the track Transitional Girl, which actually has all of these beautiful Beatles-esque vocal harmonies soaring after the choruses. There are also some other spots on this LP where the really heavy guitars and bass sort of buzz and drone and pound along with the drums in this sort of My Bloody Valentine-like fashion. The sound is really heavy and it's warped. However, don't expect Candy Claus to take a similar songwriting fashion on this LP. A lot of the band's melodic influences come far from outside of shoegaze, whether it's the song Charade, which is a very moody waltz, or the song Fallen Tree Bridge, which has all these sassy Latin guitar leads playing over the intro, or even the track Birth of the Flower, which is so tropical in its melodies and its instrumentation that it feels like it would go over pretty well at a luau. Even though aesthetically Candy Claus does stay in roughly the same dream pop psych state throughout this entire LP, when it comes to the kind of music that influences them melodically, their ear is really to the wind, and this breeze sort of takes them in a lot of different directions. While I think that there is a lot of instrumental talent on this record, it almost seems like to me that Candy Claus is a little too reliant on this whispery vocal dream pop aesthetic to sort of make this record work. Occasionally Candy Claus can feel kind of one note in the same way that Black Moth Super Rainbow can, which is especially the case if I don't end up liking the song or the melody that the band has worked out for a particular track, like on the song Illusion, which has all these downstroked, very very moody, dark guitar chords all over the song that actually feel like they could have worked against the melody from the opening theme to Tales from the Crypt. I do appreciate the band's ambition to try out different musical styles throughout this album, but as I listened to it, especially in the second half, with all the instrumentation and the vocals feeling uniformly packed together in this vacuum-sealed psychedelic sausage, making all of the instrumental elements feel really mushy, it gets a little stale. Honestly, most of the time I do dig this album a lot. Candy Claw's instrumental backdrop is so impressive at points on this LP, it's like being dropped right into the middle of a hallucination-inspired fairy tale. If only the sort of ambitious concept and narrative that I know the band strung together for this album came through in a very sharp way through this dream pop aesthetic. It's a bit of a double-edged sword that I feel like Candy Claus is yet to wield in a really impressive way on this album. Still, with the amount of production and instrumental talent that I'm hearing on this LP, I feel like Candy Claus with this album is one step closer to coming out with a project that is conceptually impressive, intelligible, but still, for the time being, this album is very blissful, melodic, fun, and enjoyable. I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this thing. If you've given it a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. This review is my opinion. If you don't like it, here's a straw. I want to give a shout out to Dead End Hip Hop, who did a great video talking about sort of hip hop's response or involvement or effect on the whole Trayvon Martin case. Also, Zach D, Unky Fantan, Chip, and happy birthday, Eric. Only the strong subscribe. All mistakes are intentional or were intentional. Anthony Fantano, Candy Claus, forever.